Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidiri. We are your trusted source of the latest news and current affairs. And today we continue our unwavering commitment to bring you the truth about the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Salam Media has been a leader in that sphere where we've been giving you first-hand accounts. And even when, time continues to roll by and people continue with their lives, well, we are not doing that. We will continue shedding light on Gaza until the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza, also enjoy the freedom that all the people of the world are also enjoying. And to quote Nelson Mandela, South Africa is not free until the people of Gaza themselves are free. And as the situation in Gaza worsens, we stand with the people of Palestine in their struggle for justice and peace. The recent Israeli airstrikes have devastated civilian areas, including schools, and forced thousands to flee their homes. The humanitarian crisis is escalating with severe shortages in medical supplies and infrastructure in ruins. Joining us now live from Bethlehem is activist and educator Brother Baha Hilo, who provide us with the first-hand account of the dire conditions in Gaza and the resilience of his people. Brother Baha, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's start by getting your perspective on the current state, following the recent airstrikes and the ongoing humanitarian crisis that we've spoken about so much, but it seems with every passing week, it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Saledo. Yes, you are right. With every day that passes, the State of Israel goes on, controls areas, and implement their genocidal policies of murder, of starvation, of home demolitions, of destruction. It's happening all over Gaza, with barely any days of quiet or any signs of Israeli genocidal like policies coming to halt. The most recent attacks, like a few days ago, like on Sunday, it was recorded that Sunday was the worst of the worst days of bombardment that the State of Israel have carried out since October 7th in Gaza. So there is no a safe place for anybody, and it's very clear the State of Israel is being emboldened to go on with the genocide until they finish every possible person in the Gaza Strip.
And another thing which is really, really concerning is the Israeli army. They ordering all civilians in Gaza City to leave. If you can give insight on that, because it's a bit mind-boggling, because you're thinking to yourself, where else can they literally go? There's nowhere else that they can go. And the Israeli army, ordering them to leave Gaza City. But the question is to where? To further, north or south, where they'll still be facing the similar kind of conditions that they're facing in Gaza City.
Celino, there is a psychological trap or trick that the Israeli criminals do. Before they bomb you, they send you a leaflet. And somehow, because they sent you a leaflet, they are not responsible for your murder. These are like propaganda leaflets that are known to be used by criminals ever since the Second World War. So those criminals will just throw leaflets at a city and tell people to move, and then they follow those leaflets with a huge bombardment campaign, murdering like civilians. Now, the issue that at stake here is that the Israeli army just threw a map telling people to go in certain directions to the south, giving international media the impression that the south is safer than the north. Gaza City, about 40% of its population have already escaped, and the State of Israel want to finish the remaining population in the city of Gaza and go on with its declared policy of depopulating depopulating the largest Palestinian city, which is the city of Gaza. They use the typical methods that they use in previous genocides and previous attacks. The other thing is, like, you should know that Gaza is a death camp. Like, there's no safe place. What there is that the state of Israel want to flatten an area or a neighborhood or a town, and then it tells people to, if they don't want to die under the rubble, they go south, where they will be followed and murdered in the south. Some observants suggest that nearly 60% of the Palestinians that were murdered in the south of Gaza are actually displaced persons from the north. So it's not like you would escape south of Gaza towards Khan Yunis or Deir al-Balah or Rafah, and you would be safe. No, like, Israel bombardment will follow you. The state of Israel have proven that it can murder displaced persons. They have attacked countless number of uh, shelters and so-called, like, refugees shelters installed by the UN or installed in public spaces of people who are displaced because of Israel's genocide. So there is no such a thing as, like, if you go to a certain part of the Gaza Strip, you will be safe. There were some people that, between 100 to 150 people, that saw the leaflets and decided to go south. They were captured by Israeli forces and robbed of everything they were carrying with them before they would go south. There are Israeli criminals or snipers that have been, like, busy murdering Palestinians who were trying to figure out a way to go somewhere. Also, like last week, the state of Israel bombed shelters of people in the south, and they were trying to go to the north. An average person in Gaza have been displaced on nearly 10 times. Like, I know people who have been displaced for 14 times so far. Which means that they checked 14 locations within the Gaza Strip, and those 14 locations were not safe to the point. So there is the entire thing about, like, Israeli leaflets campaign is to create a mess and a distraction from the ongoing murder and destruction of life and elimination of every aspect of life in Gaza. So you have people who are murdered by the bombs, you have people who are being murdered by bullets, you have people who are being murdered by tank shells, you have people who are being murdered by the famine, you have people who are being murdered by denial of access to medication, and so on. Yes, it's true that the number of buried Palestinians so far is around 39,000 of us have been buried, but we have no idea about the thousands upon thousands of Palestinians that are still under the rubble. There is a research that came out recently suggesting that Israel have been responsible on the death and murder of nearly 186,000 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip so far, uh, because of the different policies that the Israelis have been imposing on the residents of Gaza. So, is there a safe place anywhere in Gaza? There isn't. Why is that? It's because of Israeli criminal behavior.
Definitely. I want us to take a quick break, but then when we come back, I think I want us to touch on, Palestine and Gaza's health, systems, because I think ever since, the beginning of this mass genocide by the Israeli occupying forces, something which was at the forefront was, the state of healthcare in Gaza and how it's deteriorating. But I feel like ever since that time, no one is talking about it anymore. No one is talking about just the dire devastation of the hospitals and the clinics and the lack of medication that the doctors in Gaza, who themselves are beyond overwhelmed, have to endure. So we'll touch a bit on that after the break. Brother Baha, thank you so much for staying with us. I will see you a bit after this.
When do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Contact Lenasia Livestock and Poultry for all your sadaqah, akika and kurbani requirements. We offer clean, hygienic abattoir style and refrigeration facilities. Sheep, goats and cows are available at competitive market-related prices, direct to the public. We slaughter, slice and distribute in your behalf, but that's not all. Introducing Meat Masters Halal Butchery, our sister company situated on our farm in Lenasia. Unbeatable prices on lamb, beef and chicken. Lenasia Livestock and Poultry. Livestock is our business. We are Sanha approved. Telephone 011 857 1774. Call now.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, buckies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back. Still tuned in to Salam Media with myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and we are still focusing on the latest on the Gaza genocide. You know, as the world continues to move on, we are still sticking with what's currently happening in Gaza. We're still encouraging you to hashtag don't stop talking about Gaza as this mass genocide continues to unfold, and we're seeing hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza being murdered right before our eyes. You know, we call ourselves the civilized world. This is the 21st century. Some people will tell you we're on the brink of the 5th industrial revolution, but we still let massacres like this happen, and there are no consequences for the perpetrators thereof. With that being said, we're still joined by Brother Baha Hilo. He's joining us live from Bethlehem, giving us a really, really important insights and updates on the current genocide. Brother Baha, thank you so much for staying with us. I think before I went to the break, I wanted to touch a bit about the collapse, you know, of the health systems in Gaza. This was something that was at the forefront, you know, after the 7th of October, but it has seemingly taken a back seat. No one is talking about it anymore. Just the dire, you know, collapse and the non-existence at this point of the health systems in Gaza. What can you tell us about that?
The reason it's no longer mentioned is because Israel flattened the majority of the health centers in Gaza. About 155 hospitals, clinics, and health providing facilities have been partially or completely destroyed. 19 of the 25 or 24 major Palestinian hospitals in Gaza have been put out of service completely, between like they were bombed and they were destroyed, shut down, electricity and power is completely cut off from those facilities. And remember that Palestinian hospitals in Gaza have been used as traps for Palestinians because the Israeli army will will bomb those hospitals and then surround and invade those hospitals and kidnap as many of the Palestinian adults as possible from those hospitals. The majority of Palestinians that were arrested in Gaza were kidnapped from those hospitals. So the reason not many people are talking about the health system in Gaza is because the state of Israel succeeded in destroying that sector, and they're moving on towards Palestinian homes. So if you create a link between all Israeli bombardments in the past 8 months, they targeted intentionally health facilities, they targeted the social centers, they targeted all the universities in Gaza, they targeted the majority of the schools in Gaza, and so they destroyed public facilities, and now they are coming to the last place, which is people's homes. But the health, the hospitals and the clinics in Gaza, the majority of them are destroyed. There are 3 partially operating facilities that are the last standing health facilities. So, it's important to mention that so many of the Palestinians that have that require weekly or monthly attention, like people with diabetes, with kidney failures, with cancer, with all those kind of diseases that require regular medical care. Those are among the majority of the not counted Palestinians that are murdered by the State of Israel. They are murdered simply because the State of Israel have destroyed the medical supplies, destroyed the medical facilities that they were depending on completely for survival. So in the end of the day, like if you want to commit a genocide, like you start from the end, like you want people to die. So who saves people? Hospitals. So you bomb the hospitals and you play backwards.
Really, really sick modus operandi there. And if there's one thing that I've also, been reading about, and it's one that has been really, really concerning for me, is the number of amputees, the number of people that are shot in the limbs, in the legs, to make sure that, even if this is all said and done and there's some kind of ceasefire for a certain amount of time, they've created a nation of disabled people in essence. Can you shed a bit of light on
but
that?
That is again, like that is like that's a publicized shooting policy in the Israeli army. It's more fun to cut somebody's limb and get them to die once a day, every day, than just to shoot them in the head and kill them. The Israeli snipers do both things, but it's more fun for Israeli criminals to actually shoot a limb than to actually kill you. The number of Palestinians that will suffer from this genocide is like 100% of the population. Like we're talking about either the physical damages or the creation of nearly 25,000 Palestinian orphans in Gaza. Those are people that will suffer for the rest of their lives because of the genocide, the trauma that is being carried, that will be carried from the end of genocide up until the rest of our lives. That's something that cannot be erased from people's psychological, let's say, conditions. The state of Israel have destroyed the, let's say, the physical aspect of people's lives, and now they are after what they would call like crushing the spirit of the people. So how are you going to crush somebody's spirit? You know, you kill their family, you kill their friends, you destroy their homes, you steal their belongings. You, like, the state of Israel have a long list of crimes that they have been getting away with, and the aim of those crimes is to destroy the spirit of every standing Palestinian that rejects Israeli oppression.
We have run out of time, Brother Baha, but just your parting shot. Anything else you'd like the world to know? Your parting message, to South Africans and the people world over, because I can tell you for sure, I'm seeing something very, very concerning within activism circles, where there seems to be a lot of activist fatigue. I think people have reached a point where they don't know what to do anymore. They seem, tired, hopeless. What can you respond to this? Activism fatigue. Yeah.
The point of ongoing savagery is to crush people into helplessness, hopelessness, and defeat. It doesn't matter if we will continue to be murdered, we will continue to be oppressed as long as the state of Israel has embassies operating around the world. That's the link. The people are exhausted because they are realizing that everything they try to do to stop Israeli criminal behavior from going on is not working. And the reason for that is the form of activism that people have been involved in is mainly like going to the streets and hoping that their politicians who are in bed with Israeli criminals will do something about it. But this is not how it works. If you want an end to Israeli criminal behavior, you have to target Israeli embassies. Do as South Africa has done, which is shutting down Israeli embassies. Of course, we will continue to be oppressed after shutting down the Israeli embassy in the south of Africa, but at least now we can say that we are continue to be murdered without the complicity of the South African government, but with the complicity of every government that hosts an Israeli representative on their country. The Israeli politicians have been emboldened by the exhaustion of the social, let's say, calmness that has been happening during the summer. So I read a report the other day suggesting that the Israeli war criminal, the prime minister of the state of Israel, is satisfied that the police authorities around the West have managed to suppress and shut down protests against Israeli criminal behavior in different cities around the world. So people not taken to the street have emboldened Israeli criminals to go on. This is the only thing that explains why there has not been any kind of global reaction to the heaviest day of bombardment since October 7th, which happened last Sunday. People are exhausted because the means they use are taking them to nowhere. And the targets they have are ineffective. Once again, we're not being murdered by the streets of London. We are being murdered by a regime that has a representative office in London, and that representative office is the embassy. So the target has to always be the Israeli embassy. Those embassies have to be shut down, and the representatives of Israeli criminals in those embassies have to be expelled from every country around the world until supporters and activists that put time and effort into the quest for justice for the Palestinian people. Until they recognize that address, they will continue to be exhausted, and we will continue to be oppressed by the state of Israel. But activism has to target Israeli embassies. Activism has to target defenders, supporters, and beneficiaries of Israeli criminal behavior that exist in almost every country that has diplomatic relations with the savage regime of the state of Israel.
I think we're going to leave it there. Powerful message, nothing to add to it. Brother Baha, really appreciate you giving us your time. And I'm sure we'll be speaking as we continue, to shed light on the ongoing genocide in Palestine and against the people of Palestine by the Israeli occupying forces. Assalamu alaikum. Really appreciate it.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Well, there you have it, Brother Baha Hilo coming to us live from Bethlehem, giving us the latest on the ongoing genocide in Gaza and sharing a very, very important message about activism. The streets of whatever city that you're in, and I'm quoting him, are not the ones that are perpetuating this genocide. The streets of Cape Town are not the ones perpetuating the genocide in Gaza. The streets of Johannesburg and the streets of Durban, they are not the ones killing millions and millions of people in Palestine and in Gaza. It's the embassies. That's where the power is Israeli interests in the country. And that should be the targets of all the activists across the world and right here in South Africa. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Heidi Swart. We'll be touching on the third anniversary of the July unrest and some of the lessons that the South African government and intelligence has learned, if any, from that tragic event. More on that after this.